Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Off-White Coat Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Abney, and today I'm joined with a friend of mine, Panayotis Jusakos. So me and PJ, we went to St. George's together in Grenada. We were housemates, met on the island very early, been friends really ever since. Brilliant guy. Today he's dressed to impress. We figured we would do a little mock interview for everybody. So it started off with a little bit of some of the behavioral questions that some of the programs just throw at you to kind of get you rattled or get your brain thinking. And so PJ, that it was a strong, solid attempt.
The entrance, I think we need to probably cut that part out.
We might have to. It was
Yeah.
it was either that or something else, but uh, I just know that for those behavioral questions, sometimes they just ask you it really just to throw you off and see if you can actually come up with something on the spot or really just rattle your brain for the next couple questions. Because then, even as you are thinking in your head right now, it kind of rattles you. Like,
Yeah, I'm still
uh,
thinking.
so me and PJ right now, we are going through the application process and interview process. So how's that been going for you so far?
It's not been the easiest, but it is fun. I will say that I'm happy to be going through this process, and I'm excited to see what the future entails.
That was a very professional answer. The that it is yeah, it's better to be going through the process than not to be going through the process after all this.
That is very true. Yes.
So um yeah, we've been going through this process. We just now have started the interview season. Applications are all in. Did you have your application done at the time that it was released?
So that was a really big push. Everybody I spoke to, all the residents, all the experts, all like everything you read online too, they for sure make it a point, like a clear point, that 100%, if you want to be as competitive as possible, you need to submit it September 28th by I think it was 11 p.m.
Yes, I think that was the
Yeah.
exact date. Yeah, I've definitely heard the exact same thing. It's better to have it up front and out there. I know some programs they did this collaboration or some kind of guidelines where they don't release their applications or they don't release their interviews till a later date. But it's also good to have yours on there, the first one, because if it's a rolling basis, then you really want to be one of the first ones that come.
Yeah.
I know that. Carry on. What are you
No,
saying?
from my understanding, it was so they separate it into pools. So everybody who submitted has the timestamp of September 28th is put into this group. And then everyone thereafter is put on a second group.
Mm,
Then they go, okay, this is everybody that was prepared at this time, because they're receiving 4,000 applications for like 4 spots.
yeah,
So one of the very easy ways that they can kind of just eliminate it is, okay, which ones were kind of ready at the time they were supposed to be ready, which ones were not. If they decide to cut it like that, that's one easy way for them to do it.
exactly. And you definitely want to check all their boxes. You don't want to be sitting on the outside of that. Did you have everything in?
Yeah. So the application was, we have to submit it by the 28th, but it was open for us to write into it. I think at least a month before. So for sure, during that whole month or 2 months, I was working on it probably every day or every other day, just a little bit. And yeah, I had it ready and submitted by September 28th.
That's good. Yeah, I remember we kind of talked about it a little bit, but my MSPE, which is like the dean's letter, it did not come in time. And I had like a panic attack essentially because the school was supposed to send it in. And I thought that was going to put me in that separate pool because I didn't have everything. But luckily, I think with it auto updating and stuff like that, I don't think anybody has at least held that against me. So did you find was like the most difficult part of that process for you?
The most difficult thing, honestly, in my opinion, because everything, most of it, 99, 95 probably percent of it is okay. Where'd you go to school? What degree did you get? What were your grades? What extracurricular activities did you have? These are all like, there's no wiggle room. These are just facts. Like, what have you been doing aside from medical school? Or what have you been doing during medical school? The things I have the wiggle room with are the personal statement, and then the little, interests and hobbies, and then the little descriptions you have for each work or extracurricular activity. Those are like, that's like the 5 to 10% of what you can do to make it separate from someone else. Like one compared to two people, they could both be very active, outside of school, volunteering, but then one of them takes the time and describes what they learned in each instance or what they took away or why they did it. And then the other one like doesn't write anything.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is the key too, is making like spelling out what you've done and then how that's going to benefit you to that residency. That's something I didn't realize at the time, was that I needed to spell out how that tied into my residency. So I typed in a bunch of stuff, and then I got, I had somebody else look at it just to make sure that that it was correct. And then I realized then that I needed to add a little bit more. Did you use any resources or anybody to review your application prior to sending it in?
I did. Yes. I used, am I allowed to say the name?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I mean, I don't know. It's copyright.
Probably be good. Why would it be a copyright? It'd probably be good. Man. Is it a single person or is it a program?
No. BMO. It's like a company. It might be.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sure they love to hear that. Okay. So now we've got all the applications in, everything, interviews. I know you don't have to go through how many interviews or where you're applying and everything. That way we give some people we don't show them all the secrets. But how are you preparing for the interviews that you have?
Aside from what we're doing right now, which I think is very important, you could have a friend, family member. This is what we're doing right now, is basically like a mock interview. Because at least the majority of people in our position right now, fourth year medical students, we're put in a position where we haven't really been interviewed before for something like this. But then the interviewee, the person interviewing you, the program director, he's seen thousands upon thousands of applicants. So he's used to every question, he's used to every response. And then if you kind of go in there blind, he's going to notice, or he or she is going to notice. So just, like everything the past 4 years, like what our to-do list was to study and be prepared for exams. Like I take that drive or that sense of what I needed to do, I'm just putting that now into interviewing now for these hospitals. So what do I need to do to be as competitive as possible? I need to kind of prep myself on what kind of questions they could ask. I need to, again, and other things, like everything is online now. So before it wasn't, so that's like a new thing for them, new things for us. So we have to do, little things like the background. You could have a picture frame in the back, you could be outside, or you could, be in a living room. What type of background do you want? I got a microphone also. I have a ring light. Well, like on and off, like there's a difference within having a ring light and then not having it.
100%. Yeah, I didn't realize the benefit of having like a ring light and everything until at first I thought it was just something that influencers or somebody else did. But when I saw the difference, especially in a Zoom meeting, because let's say you're in a group of people, like 10 to 12 people, and they're looking at everybody lined up, and then your face is dark, it really helps to just shine a light. Because also when you're doing these interviews, it's also hard to get a good view of somebody virtually as opposed to in person, in my opinion, and I think that doing anything you can to kind of just insinuate your personality and help. I think mics help with the reflections of your voice and stuff like that too. And yeah, anything you can do to help, because right now you're at the final stage. So I usually would not blur my background as well, but I am not doing this in a place that I normally would interview. So there's a lot of background clutter right now. So I didn't want to clutter it up for anybody viewing. But yeah, so we've got to the interview. I definitely recommend, the bouncing off. We're going to do a full mock interview here later. I just wanted to get PJ's, uh, get him to give a little insight on his whole process and what he's been doing. When you schedule your interviews, have you been scheduling them as early as possible or later in the time? I've heard conflicting things about both.
Yeah, so that's funny. I didn't expect you to like ask me that. Because I was very hypercritical of that when I got my first interview. I was like, okay, they range between November, the beginning of November, and then I think January was like the last one. So that's a good amount of months difference. So like, do you want to be the first person they see, or do you want to be in the middle, or do you want to be the last? And what I came up with, I think my dad and I was the one having the conversation with him. It's like, if they like you, they're gonna put your name down on like whatever list they have to organize all these applicants, right? That everyone they have to interview. So I'm starting it off, and I feel like I scheduled it like first come, like in the morning, first available. If not the first, if someone already picked that one, like I would pick the very next one, but still in the morning. So that was another big thing that I wanted to do, more morning than afternoon. I didn't want to like post lunch fatigue, then be upset. They want to think about wanting to go home. I want them to be, awake, alert. I want to be awake, alert as well. So mornings is when I chose for that reason. And then earliest as possible, because I feel like if I make an impression on them, maybe I could potentially, be on whatever X, Y, and Z lists to be like, okay, I need to review this guy again at a later date. Whereas if I'm near the end and the list that they had, or is, already have like 20 people on that list, I'm going to be the 21st person,
Yeah, I
opinion.
completely, yeah, I completely agree. I was torn with it myself, especially at the very beginning, but I think that your method is the smartest way to go about it. I think at the very beginning, everybody's super happy to start interviews and everything, but towards the end, it's going to become monotonous. They're going to have asked the same questions to different applicants all around the board. They're going to remember the first people. They're going to remember the first people, and they may remember the last people, but in that middle, it's going to be tough to distinguish. So if you can get in there early, and to do it earlier in the day too, I think is a smart. I think that's a smart plan, because you're just way more.
You're there.
You're way more present. Yes, I did an interview the other day, and I was their first interview, and they were mine. But it just so happened that everybody was very friendly. They were kind of giving me some leniency too, because they were like, "Oh, we know it's your first one," and I think that that's the best way to handle it, because yeah, especially in the day, you said it, after lunchtime fatigue. No, nobody wants to be doing it at 5 o'clock. I've had to schedule some for later in the day just because that was the only available time, and oh, I'm even dreading those upcoming just because they're later in the day.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna. And if you are the first person to make that impression on the day, you get your name written down, like you said, and then later on in the day, when they're reviewing other people, like they're just comparing those people to you.
Yeah. Like you're setting
As
the
opposed,
bar as opposed to you having to be compared to, another person.
exactly.
But again, both of us haven't matched yet. Both of us are in the same process. So we really don't know. We're
We could
kind
be
of,
doing the wrong thing. Yeah,
yeah, we
it just
could be
seems
doing
right
it
at the time.
completely off. They're like, no, you're not supposed to go in the morning.
Yeah, like we prefer it to be the
Yeah.
last thing we see.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it won't come back to bite us in the butt.
Yeah.
When you chose your or when you chose the programs you wanted to apply to, did you have any like parameters or anything that you were looking for specifically in programs?
So that actually yeah. So I didn't think I would spend that much time on it, but then I started thinking like I'm going to be spending a lot of time over the next 4 years of that's the residency that I want is 4 years long. I'm going to be 4 years at this place. This is going to be my second home. I'm going to probably spend more time at this hospital than I will be spending more time at this hospital than probably home itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, at the beginning, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be so, I got, so, I was initially going, oh, there's like how X amount of programs. What if I just apply to all of them? That was like my first thought. And then second, I was like, maybe I want to be able to read a little bit about these programs. Um, what what other experiences, like past experiences, if they had. I had match a resident, and then that was really helpful because they give kind of a review or like comments of other people that have interviewed there or people that work there. And some say like, oh, this is an amazing program. And then, another comment, they said this was like a horrible experience for X, Y, and Z. But then again, like I wouldn't rule out a certain program just because of one comment. Because again, like you can't, judge a book by just one thing.
Exactly.
Look up their website. There's always YouTube videos too that they usually post that give a good serpent of what they do, what their values are. And I thought that was very important. So that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. The I also did something where I went and I Google searched, and anybody can do it, but you type in the name of the program, you type in the specialty, and then you put in current residents. And it immediately popped me to, because sometimes you can sort through their whole page and you still can't find them. But if I Googled that, it almost immediately popped me up to the residence page and the residence bio. And I could search through there and see, because me and you both are international medical graduates, I could see if they had any of them. And so sometimes I tried, if there was a program that didn't have a single IMG, I kind of was like, well, they might not really give me the time of day. Now I still shot my shot with a lot of them even still, but I used that a little bit too. Just kind of pick the places. Did you have any like was demographics a big deal, or like where the program's located? Was that a big deal for you on where you were applying?
So yes and no. I mean, again, we are international medical students. At the end of the day, like we literally went out of the country because of our drive to want to become these doctors, help treat these patients. We had this drive to leave the country, study abroad, and then take that knowledge back to the States and then rotate here. So I love going to new places. I love learning new about cultures of new experiences. We went to Grenada, so I love my family, but I also love the fact that I got to be able to experience another culture, like completely different culture in a completely different country. And I feel like that really helped me. So again, I'm very open now to moving to pretty much anywhere that I'm needed,
Mm-hmm.
in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The I think that the program almost matters more than the location, in my opinion. Like you want to go to a good program. Is there any place that you wouldn't want to practice at besides Grenada, maybe?
I'll probably go visit back to Grenada though. Eventually, I would want to go back.
Would you want to practice in Grenada?
But I mean, I would want to stay in the States. I mean,
Yeah.
if Grenada became like the 51st state of the US, then yeah, sure. I would go to Grenada. But yeah, no, I wouldn't rule out like a state that I would
Mhm.
want to go to. Like, do you?
Awesome. Uh, for me, would I go back to Grenada to practice?
I guess both questions then. Would you go back?
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I like to experience new places and see new cultures to begin with. So I really had no tie to Georgia, or because I'm from Georgia, so I have no tie to Georgia. I really just wanted to go. It would be nice to be close to family and stuff like that, but I want to choose a program that is, the best fit for me. whether that's in Kentucky or North Dakota or wherever is the best place to go. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it didn't matter to me. When you're coming up, or better yet, I got one. Pants or no pants for your interview? You rocking them or not?
Is it an in-person interview or is it a virtual interview?
Well, I mean, I guess that does have a part to play.
If it's in person, I'll probably wear pants. I haven't ruled out shorts, but I'll probably be wearing pants. Virtually, I mean, right now I was feeling a little festive. I think it's pretty appropriate. I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing some Christmas.
Oh, a little. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Santa Claus came to slay. I see. I really like your outfit as well. Very strong outfit. You picked a good one.
Matched the picture that I used to upload.
Okay, you matched that one. I'm going with the same thing. I think that's the best way, mainly because if you can tell, like when you hit, I put my profile of my Zoom as my application photo. So if I turn my photo off or video off, it pops right up to where it's me.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, I know, right? So sometimes, that can matter too, instead of it just being a black box with your name on it. And they can easily compare. They looking at your application, they've only seen you in that outfit. It can make it easier to remember you by. Plus, you got a nice strong red tie. It's very presidential, dude.
Yeah, I should probably have the American flag
Yeah,
pin.
you need a little pin. That's
Yeah.
when they know you're going political, though. So,
Yeah. Probably not.
and yeah, you said that you have a ring light, a microphone, anything else that you're bringing into your interviews?
My other thing was whether or not I should wear a watch because
Mhm.
why
I
not?
like it actually. It flashed a little bit, and I actually noticed it, and I thought it was a good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go like, oh, like, but
Let
like
me
just
check the time.
like picking at my hair or whatever. I feel like, oh, this guy had attention to detail. Like the microphone itself, I think if they see it, if they don't, I feel like if they do see it, they'll be like, oh, this guy kind of went that extra half a step, or this guy, attention to detail with the watch.
I think the attention to detail is the key.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to go ahead and get this mock interview started?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
we've been
I thought
we've
that's
been
what we were gonna do it. Then you kind of spring this whole recording session to me. I was like, oh
I
yeah.
know I came at him, but I also knew that a lot of people could learn from you, PJ. You're a very intelligent guy, and you pay a lot of attention to detail, like you were just saying. And this is a really nerve-wracking process for a lot of people, and you seem to have your head on straight about it. So I was like, if you could relay some of that information to other people, I bet it would make them feel more comfortable in their own interviews. Now it might also hurt us because they might start doing everything we're doing.
No, I wouldn't want to be chosen just because, oh, this guy had a ring light, this guy doesn't have a ring light. That would be like
Mm.
the pettiest thing in the world. But I would for sure tell everybody you should get a ring light because it'll look more like you. Like you're not gonna be if you're in person, it's different than over video camera, unless I had like a GoPro attached to my laptop. Like the
Yeah,
megapixels on my MacBook isn't like the highest.
yeah,
So
I 100% agree. And yeah, it sometimes the lighting of the room doesn't help either. So it just it really does help.
yeah.
You got to do whatever you can do
So
to
yeah,
get it.
so if this little thing, if it helps one person, then it'd be worth it.
Yeah,
Then it's okay for you to record me.
yeah. There you go. I think it'll help at least. It might just help one person,
Yeah,
but
they'll get a good laugh, maybe.
yeah, we're gonna try to just. I say we just go back and forth. I don't know if you have how many
Yeah,
questions you.
I have a few for you.
Ooh. So we'll kind of just go back and forth and ask each other some questions, and we'll do our best to answer it. And then after the question's over, you can kind of give me feedback on my answer. If there was anything that you thought I could have done better, we can kind of get to the bottom of it. And yeah, we'll get this bad boy rolling. You want to start off?
Yeah, let's see. You want a hard, medium, or easy question? Because there's different kinds. I didn't know there's like scenario based. There's tell me about a time, tell me about you.
Mm,
The way what I was reading online, they separate these questions very they organize them very well, and it's very
yeah.
strategic. So I'm gonna start with a scenario.
Okay. Hit me with one.
All right. So you are at home one night watching TV. You're alone. All of a sudden, you hear like a loud yell outside. You notice now that you turn down the volume on your TV, and you start hearing two people kind of going into an argument with each other. It's in a different language, so you're not really understanding what they're saying. And have you heard this one?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay. So you
Feels like a
turn.
scary movie already.
No, I know, right? And then all of a sudden you hear a large bang, a yell, and then silence. So this is coming from, you're in an apartment building and it's coming from the apartment next door. So I set the scene. So the question now is, what would you do in this scenario?
So, and it's the apartment next to me, right? So I can't look out the window.
Correct. Yeah.
Hmm. I guess, yeah, I would let somebody know first off that what I was doing, and then I would probably, if it's a bang like a gunshot, I guess you can tell the difference or whatever. I try to give people their privacy, but I probably would, go make sure everybody was okay. And that's probably not a police officer probably would not tell you to do that, but that would be my answer. Yeah. Especially if I try to be cordial with all my neighbors anyway. But after watching that Jeffrey Dahmer documentary, I think it's important that you probably got to go check it out. And
Okay.
then, yeah, because that also, I would say that when they ask questions like that, you want to try to be concise. So we'll just try to end it there. But, I don't know. What do you think?
No, that was pretty good. Again, this is the first time you're hearing this kind of question, and this is the first time I know you've had, I think, one interview before this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, from what else I've understood is at the beginning of interview season, near the end, like we're high strung right now, so we're very nervous or whatever. Compared to near the end of interview season, you've been to a few interviews, hopefully, so you kind of got the system on what they want, how you want to answer questions, and what they kind of ask. They're not going to ask you the same, like you'll probably not hear this question, but it's the response that they want. They're just going to give you a scenario, and they want to hear how you're going to take, because it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And they know that. They just want to see your problem solving skills. Are you going to be hyper reactive? So you were not. So you could have immediately been like, okay, I'm going to call 911 right now. This is spousal abuse or whatever. That's what normally, you're popping that into your mind. You're thinking, okay, so if it's a woman yelling, she's probably getting attacked. I need to call 911. The guy is being abusive towards the woman. So that's like an example of kind of like you're not supposed to do that because you're rushing. You don't know enough information. So from the response from what I read from this question, there's three possible scenarios. One, they could be maybe watching like a scary movie on super loud, woman yelled, hit something or whatever, and then it kind of cuts silent because they're watching a movie, right? They're in another language, you're not really understanding them. So that's one scenario. So me explaining that to you now, you're thinking, okay, yeah, that's a possibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second, there could be abuse. So they made it a point where if you ever at any point felt uncomfortable, so you're in the scenario, if you felt uncomfortable or unsafe, or if you think the person who's is unsafe or something's going on, you should immediately call and notify the proper authorities. And that's number one. Number two is if they're your apartment next door, right? So you may or may not know them. You could maybe give them a call. You could knock on the door, be cordial with them. Hey, just wanted to check in what's going on before, calling 911, because you don't really know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I would have done. But then also probably would not have been if I had, because I feel like calling 911 is going to be a little too quick on the trigger. But then
You just
also, if they're speaking different languages, I
yeah.
might be in trouble there too.
Yeah, that's true.
By the end of the interview season, you just go, I probably just turn my music up louder. I guess.
Yeah, you turn up the volume on the TV.
Yeah.
But there's no right or wrong. They just want your problem solving skills. So they want you to see, okay, there's multiple levels to this. It
Yeah.
could be an unsafe scenario and there could be a safe scenario. So they want you to be able to justify that there could be multiple and then what you would do accordingly. So you did pretty well on that for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely some things to consider doing better, but yeah, I think also, you got to maintain eye contact throughout the whole time and just essentially just wing it, I guess.
Fidgeting too is another one.
Fidgeting, yeah, which that's tough for me because I'm a fidgeter to begin with. I just have to just fidget with my hands below the screen.
But that's why this is good. Like this is, I have a little bit of anxiety, even though I've literally known you for the past 4 or 5 years. But this is good because we're just kind of, these are the feelings that we're gonna have, just kind of, times two during an actual interview. But if we practice like this, the jitters kind of go down. You can see, okay, when I answer questions, I look left or I look right. I need to be kind of focused not to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, my time now. Let's go.
I'm gonna
If
be
you okay,
looking out. Okay.
I have some funny ones, but we're gonna start with a serious one.
Okay.
Tell me one moment that you're proud of, something you did that made you proud of yourself.
Yeah. So see, I'm blanking now. Again, that was a good question. So one moment that I would proud of. So I wouldn't want to be blanking during the interview.
Exactly. And this was actually, I won't say that this was asked in my interview, but I will say that it was asked to me in an interview before.
Okay.
And I had no answer for this at first. I had to I think I came up with a good one on the spot, but tell me what yours first.
So
Stalled long enough for you.
so we'll say the question one more time.
Tell me one moment where you were proud of yourself
Okay.
for something you did.
Okay. I mean, I guess I was thinking very big, but I do little things that I'm happy with every day. Like today, specifically, I took my grandma out we went to church and then we went to lunch. So it was really nice because she, kind of stays home most of the time. So whenever I get a chance, I like to take her out. I like to, get her walking. I like talking to her. I like having her laugh. So those little things that, it makes me feel like no one's looking, like my mom's not telling me to do this, my dad's not telling me to do this. It's just nice to see like her one, interacting with her is nice, but it's nice to see her having a good time too. Because I walk by sometimes and I'm doing work and she's like just kind of sitting on the couch watching TV, kind of quiet. And it's not like she's enjoying her time, but like I feel like it's good to do that. And then if whenever I take her out, like specifically today, we had Greek food. She was the most talkative lady ever. It was like the sweetest thing. I didn't say anything. She was talking the whole time. It was amazing. And thinking back now, like that was really cool.
Yeah,
I'm
that
glad.
was a good answer. That was a
Yeah.
good answer. I think that
I blew it up in my mind. I was like, okay, like, should I say graduating, going through medical school? Like, no, why am I going to be thinking of that? It's going to be such a big response. It could be one little thing that you could do every day.
I think so. If you could take that and concise it, right? Because you weren't ready for that question. So you're trying to explain it. But I think that the fact that you mentioned, because you are very family oriented, you mentioned your grandmother, you mentioned that you make her happy and that you brought her to a first off, you were like, we go to church, we do this, and then we went to a Greek restaurant. You're Greek, so a lot of those give you other talking points as well. So I think that is actually a very solid answer for you to come up with on the fly. I think if just for if you were able to, and like you said, you were a little nervous and we're not expecting that question, but I think that was a very good answer. You just have to, if it's concise, and there's no serious. I'm not like judging you or anything. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a good answer. Yeah, we have a minute and 20 seconds left. If I might be able to answer one more, and then I'll have to just send you another invite.
Okay. So tell me a time when you had to act like a leader.
Time when I had to act like a leader. Okay. There was a time when I was in college and I was playing football, and it felt like, so I played football and I was also in a fraternity doing and we were doing the rush stuff or pledgeship. It was the first year, and there was a lot of times where those would be conflicting, and I also had a lot of football players on my team, and during that time it was very difficult to get everybody together for every event, whether it be football or pledgeship. And what I tried to do, there was a moment where there was nobody there. I took the brunt of everybody not being there for the pledgeship thing, just because. All right, PJ, we're back. Sorry about that. PJ asked me a very tough question, and then all of a sudden the video my free Zoom meeting cut out.
Conveniently cut out.
I really need to. I wish that actually happened, but then that might actually hurt my chances.
I mean,
wandering and just stop. I'm like,
yeah, just freeze.
Yeah.
Or end the thing accidentally. If they ask you like a really tough question, you're about to panic. What if you like accidentally end the recording, email them immediately, but then during that time you can be like, okay, I need to answer it this way.
I feel like if I was the interviewer, I'd be like, that guy did that on purpose.
Yeah, you 100%
like you
did that on purpose.
PJ messaged me a meeting and goes, you did that on purpose.
Yeah. I asked you the question, you're like, fraternity.
Yeah, I know. I was like, how do I bring this into?
You were getting good though. It started off weak because you said one. I was thinking you said high school, so I'm like, okay, this guy is, almost 30, and he's bringing up high school. That's the last time he's thinking of leadership. So that's one thing I thought. Why did he have to go so back? Was that the only time he's ever been a leader? Again, I'm just probably thinking randomly, and then second one, you brought up fraternity, and I was like, again, I immediately thought drinking and partying, but then you correlated it pretty well because I'm assuming you were going to compare it to a time where you had to be responsible, but they wanted you to do something else, and then you decided that no, for me to get something done, I need to, rise up to whatever challenge.
Exactly. That's okay. So yes, but let's ask me your question again.
Okay. I feel like I have to ask you another one.
Okay. I mean, because I was drowning in that question, but that
another one. Okay. Tell me a time about when you had to show compassion to someone you didn't know.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to set up the recording stuff. Okay. A time that I had to show compassion for someone that I didn't know. There was a time, okay, so I had a patient, and this was during my IM sub-I, and he was actually very rude to the nurses. He was very rude to essentially any female that he interacted with. Now, the resident that I was working with was a female. He was even rude to the attending. He said a lot of mean things to them. But for some reason, I mean, he was still rude to me, but I was able to work with him because I tried to be patient. So even though he was being very rude, he was, and just to not be as vulgar as this man was, he was calling the women a lot of choice names that I would probably not call my mother or my grandmother. And I was in the room for it. So immediately you get a little flash of like, what is this guy doing, you know? But I had to kind of dial it back because I knew that I was the one that he would interact with. Like if he was going to say that to them, maybe he would speak to me and stuff like that. So I went back to the room and I tried to reason with him. And he really, while he really just was very angry person in general, but he something was going on with his hair and he wanted like a cap. And so I went down, I searched the whole hospital. I was like during COVID time, so it was difficult, but I found him a surgical cap, brought it back. And that was when he actually started being a lot more compliant with everybody and understanding. And while, I didn't really get any recognition, nor was I wanting it, I thought it really like made me feel good because I just helped somebody out, even though they were kind of being rude to me.
Okay. So again, probably it was overall pretty good. Same thing that you told me is you want to concise this, and
Yeah,
I
as I was going to ramble, I was like, stop, stop,
you
stop.
stopped yourself, yeah. And I could see like, okay, this is what Jordan was talking about. Like, there's a few things that where they really needed, to say or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it was good. I mean, I feel like a patient experience is always a good thing to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
It's never a red flag.
Yeah.
And it's very recent too. It's not like, oh, in middle school, this is the last time I remember being compassionate.
To a one person. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
compassionate to one person.
Yeah, so that was good. The only thing would be the concise. You touched your beard maybe once or twice and you look left and right, but I mean overall you did eye contact too, so that was good.
Okay.
Maybe smile a little more.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
be creepy, but yeah. Because you have a good smile, I feel like.
Yeah. I definitely try to do that a lot in interviews, like even when they're just talking, and I'm like, ha,
Yeah.
whatever.
Uh,
Okay. You ready
yeah,
for yours now?
let's
Or
do
do you
it.
have any more critiques?
No, I mean I think overall it was good.
That was good. Okay. That was a
There's
good
some
question too. What are you, I'm gonna have to write that one down.
no, you can't.
Okay. How do you deal with an unruly patient or someone that has been rude to you?
Okay. So, I the first thing I would think about is why, like, what's going on, like why, like what has been happening around this patient where they feel like they need to be, you know a certain way towards, I'm assuming not just me, I'm assuming it's rude towards everybody. So like what's going on around this patient, and is what she's complaining about or what she's saying, is there any merit to it? I'm not gonna like immediately, I'm not gonna, it's not like I'm gonna yell back or anything like that. I'm gonna try, I'm here, if I'm in the hospital, I'm there for one reason, it's to help the patient, right? I'm not there for like probably anything else. So what's going on? I would want to know more about what's going on with this patient, why they're acting this way. And if I can resolve it, I'll try to resolve it. If I need to address certain things, I'll try to address them as respectfully as possible. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean,
I thought that was good. No, 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 that was good. That was really good. You made solid eye contact. You know, as far, yeah. Honestly, that was a good answer. There was, I think we keep harping on each other for conciseness, but that's
yeah,
just to get
it's
each
the
other
first
better.
time. Yeah, first time. Yeah, yeah,
To
yeah.
get it
That's good.
better. But yeah, I think that was really strong. You could have said, I just try to use patience and figure out what's going on before I make any judgments on that person, and then I'll try to do whatever I can to help them. Like you had just, that was essentially what you just said.
Mhm.
And yeah, but overall, that was a solid answer. Good one.
I
Your
pass.
turn. You
Okay.
pass.
Okay. You ready? You want it
Yeah.
short or long?
Short me.
Okay. Next one's gonna be long though.
Dang it.
Okay. This is actually one that I thought about. I didn't read this anywhere. I just thought this would be a good question. What's one thing about you that isn't on your application that you'd want to share with me?
Well, geez, I thought I put everything on my application.
Yeah.
One thing that is on my application or one thing that's not on my application, I am a family guy. I love my family. I try to spend as much time with them. I have a huge family. I'm the oldest of 7. I try to take care of my brothers and sisters and really my whole family. And, we have a lot of a lot of cousins and everything, all of them babies. I always help with taking care of the little babies and everything like that. And yeah, I am unfortunately, I'm a family guy. I would rather be there than being out partying with friends or doing whatever anybody else would do. And I think family is very important.
That was good. That was a good one. I don't know if you just feel more comfortable now because we've been talking for a little longer, but that was a good. I wouldn't really. I mean, you solid eye contact. You looked away, but I mean, you can't be staring at the screen the
Yeah,
whole
you don't want to be like, yeah.
time.
They're like, ooh.
That one was good. That one was good.
Okay. Okay. If you, all right, and this is in honor of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
The House of Dragons is making a big spill right now. Let's say they're a Game of Thrones fan. What Game of Thrones character do you most identify with?
I really like Tyrion. Tyrion was for sure one of my favorite characters. I mean, I loved a lot. I like, Jon Snow is also another favorite, but that's everybody's favorite. But like, I feel like the unsung hero is Tyrion. He grew up in a horrible, environment. I mean, he was, hated all his life, and then he turned out the way he did. Like, the way he could have turned out a lot worse with what, like, the cards that he was dealt, and he decided to look at those cards like, okay, his dad hated him, his sister wanted to kill him, mother died, he's a dwarf, like, that's the cards that he was dealt, and he, instead of like taking that and then just feeling sorry for himself, he, you know kind of just threw those cards away, and he's like, I want a new deck, I want to reshuffle, and he, you know he stepped up to whatever scenario, and he tried to do his best. Like, he tried to make not only like his, family name proud, but he wanted to make a name for himself personally. So
Mm-hmm.
that was really cool.
That was a good one. That was
Yeah.
good. That was a good character to pick. I was trying to throw something that you were not expecting at all. And
That was a good one though. That was a good
yeah,
question.
that was a good
We
one.
won't ask that, but I hope they ask that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. I think there was a moment you had said, if you had ended it right after you had said he was given a bad hand, his sister wanted to kill him, blah, blah, blah. And then you stop, and then you were like, but he made the best of the hand that he was dealt. There would be
Yeah.
no critiques on that. It would have been a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk too much.
No.
No. I know. I'm like messing with
I did
myself.
the same thing in my interview. Like I think each one was like 15 minutes, and they were like, okay, we're not going to ask him any stupid questions.
Yeah.
Not that much time. He's gonna,
Yeah, they're like,
Jesus Christ, dude, we got to get off this now. Yeah, I don't know who. I guess I'd be Jon Snow, only because I'm a bastard, not because I'm all the other redeeming qualities that he has. And they're like, wait, what do you? And I'm like, no, like, I mean, in the literal sense.
yeah.
And okay, you're up. Where's your long one?
Okay. This I thought was pretty good. Actually, I'm between two really good ones. I'm not sure which one. Actually, no. How about this one? Okay. You're a director of a hospital. You're going over your finances, and you can see that the budget that you have for the amount of patients that you're seeing, you're in a community hospital. You're very underfunded, and you're in need of money to be able to have the standard of care to be able to treat every patient appropriately and fairly. At the same time, a cigarette company goes to you and says, we are willing to give you X amount of dollars, and then you see as like that's enough for you to be able to make, the budget work, or offer you this money, but in exchange, we want to be able to put some advertising in your hospital. What are you going to do?
I am not going to sell out. I am going to try to find other ways to make the money. I know there's hundreds of other ways. I'll outsource. I'll do my due diligence. That's just kind of how I am, where I will go around and search in other ways. But if I don't think that it's a good resource, or if I don't think that it's a good way to answer my problem, then I'm not going to go with it. And I don't think cigarettes are a healthy option. I don't think that's a good way to run the hospital either, by using, by selling out. So I wouldn't do it. I would look for other means, selling
Okay.
my body maybe on the street or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe cut the last part out. So overall, this one I kind of have to harp you on.
Yeah.
So from what my understanding is with these questions, because now I'm like reading it and I'm thinking, wow, this is a really good answer. And you got to think like, why are they asked? Again, there shouldn't be really a right or wrong
Yeah. I
answer.
kept saying sell out too
The
much.
thing is, yeah, you did. The thing with these things that I noticed is never do a knee jerk answer. So you kind of did a knee jerk answer. Like just like the other one, you kind of just wanted to call the cops or whatever. You didn't really explain the multiple layers of what could be happening. Like an option,
Oh, okay.
cigarette company has a parenting company and they want to do advertising not for cigarettes. They want to do advertising for, I don't know, mugs or whatever, or
Mm.
not something like a CPAP machine, let's say. And they want to do like it's not necessarily any tobacco product. You know what I'm saying? Then it would be okay. Then you're like, okay, it would be okay for me to maybe look and talk to this company a little more if it's not something that's going to be, contradicts what the hospital, is supposed to stand for. That was one scenario. That was one, one level of the question. The other level that you kind of missed is you kind of took it upon yourself to do everything. Medicine, you have to, again, there's a lot of times in medicine you have to do that, but a lot of other times also is it's a network of people. So you're the medical director, yeah, but there's a lot of people on the board that you need to be communicating all of this to as well.
Mm.
You're kind of
Yeah,
following,
I'm following. I'm like, dude, yeah. They're like,
right?
he's never gonna
I
be.
would have probably answered similar to what you, or I did answer similar to what you did, but then I'm reading the um things that you kind of need to look out for.
Yeah,
There's
because
multiple
they
levels.
almost want you to say that because it doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
like the
the.
first thing you think of, cigarette company. Okay, they want to do tobacco products, but maybe they don't. You don't really know, so you have to find out that, and then two, you have to do a board meeting. You have to be like, hey, again, at the end of the day, if it's cigarettes, 100% you can't do it,
Mm,
and it contradicts what a hospital stands for, so it would be immoral. So you were correct in that way, but again, this needs to be like you have to show
yeah.
you're thinking of other things like, oh, I would go make a committee meeting. I would invite everybody. I would tell them what the issue is, the budget. Like yeah, you're the director, but it's everybody's problem in the hospital, right?
Mm,
You should get a solution that will, maybe one person has a solution, another person doesn't, or they can help like that. You know what I'm saying?
mm. That's a good one. That actually,
That was
you
a good
got
one.
me there. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a scenario for you.
Okay.
So you are a chief resident. Let's say chief resident, and or actually, okay, you wanted a 4-year program. So let's say you're a third year resident. You still have one more year at the program. You no, scratch that. Okay, you are a chief resident. I know. But this is that it matters in the okay. So you have a program director, brand new hire, and they want to make a lot of changes. They change everything. They say, they change your scrubs. They change all the protocols that you have been working for throughout your whole time there. And also they're very, very rude to all of your residents. They're very like threatening, let's say, and even they fire one of your residents unjustly. you know, you know that nothing went wrong, but yet they still took it upon themselves because of some, you know, their own ego. They do something wrong. What do you do in that situation?
That is a tough situation because that would kind of stink to be in. It's a horrible situation to be in. It's unfavorable for sure. Initially, when you said like the changing of scrubs, I was thinking the time in surgery they when I asked why do they wear green scrubs like in surgery, it's because it's the opposite side on the color wheel to blood. So there were studies that showed that this is tangential. This is gonna be too
Yeah,
long.
that's tangential, but that's it.
What would I do?
I do like that fact though. Just say finish your. I didn't know that about the surgery scrubs.
Yeah. So
You can
it
stall for that regards.
no, yeah. So it's like the opposite color on the watch me be like 100% wrong. So it's easier for the eyes to pick up the color red if you're like wearing green
Oh,
as opposed to like blue or any other color or black. It's harder to pick up the color red. So it's easier for whoever's dealing with blood to be able to pick on, okay, there's something going on that
okay.
needs but yeah, that was I probably
It's harder to see bile though, and with that color. For that.
uh, I guess that is true too. So
So what would you do? Because you're responsible for all of your residents below you as the chief. You only have one more year. You're going to be gone. Do you stand your ground? Do
um
you wait out your time?
if the resident was truly like I would try to talk to the resident and see why he was dismissed. Maybe there's something that I didn't know. Maybe he wasn't justly or unjustly. Am I in a position to do that without knowing all the information? I don't know. So I'd want to kind of learn a little bit more about that. The rudeness, there's not really any excuse for anybody to ever be rude. Like I don't think I'm never gonna again, I'm not gonna say never, but I myself make it a point to not like to try to be as understanding as possible. So I try not to be rude. So I don't think that's yeah, I don't this is stumping me. I wouldn't know what to do.
No, I actually think that your answer, let's say your answer was to gather information and that you would try to um, treat that resident with the best respect. You know, that let's say you gather information, knows faults, and you would do whatever you can to persuade that program director to let them back on. I think there's multiple layers to this question, which make it really difficult. You know, with them being your boss, they will be the program director asking you. Let's say that's the program director asking you that question. The thing that they don't want to hear is you're going to stage a coup. The thing they don't want to hear is that you're
Gonna
going to go
go like
infighting, huh?
yeah, that you're gonna
Right?
go behind their back.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that, and they don't also want to hear that you're just going to shrug your shoulders and say, "I'm going to be gone in a year." So, you know, I think that you're not going to know the answer to that question without any other information. So I think by you just saying you would gather the information and make your decision with all the information, you gather information, then make your decision then. I think that's a solid answer. Because I think
Yeah,
if you had answered anything outright, it would have been wrong.
yeah.
You know, that was a tough one. That was like that was
I
a
was
tough
good because I'm like, this guy is literally this is the guy interviewing me. He's probably the program director, and he's trying to see what the heck I'm gonna do if such scenario happens.
one.
And
Yeah.
do I that was like I was like, that'd be weird. I was like, that's the first thing I thought of. I was like,
Yeah. It's
that was
tough, dude.
a good
Yeah.
question. Good question.
And then we're not going to ask maybe that either, but that was a good way
Oh,
to,
that was a good
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Just thinking again, like none of these questions they're gonna probably use in the
Yeah.
interview, but the types of questions where you have to, critically think, see that there's multiple levels and not have like a knee-jerk reaction. I think
Yeah.
that's
And the way to answer. Yeah. That's what we're trying to display to everybody that's listening in the audience because it really is.
my
And if you
mom
just
and
answer it, yeah. All of our moms.
dad.
If you're just answering it without thinking it through, or if you're just answering it without practicing and stuff like that, sometimes you get stumped, and then all of a sudden now you've got if you don't have a method to your answer, then yeah, that's what we're trying to display, is that some of these questions are made to stump you.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
like the USMLE. Like they're going to give you a list of symptoms. You don't necessarily know, okay, this is exactly this diagnosis, but you need to be able to paint the picture of like what it could be. Like you have to have the problem solving skills. Like you're not going to know the answer to every question. You're going to be down between two things, and you have to be able to take the information and then develop it in your mind and mold it into one of those answers.
I really hope a program director does not listen to this interview before yours and then ask you that same question. I did have one person say they listened to my podcast right before they interviewed me, and I was like, oh crap. And they were like, don't worry, I'll listen to the very beginning. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You got another one?
Yeah, I got a lot, man. How long do you want this recording to be?
Yeah, we can. Oh no, we can keep going for a little bit. I've got a decent amount too, because then we'll get to like behavioral questions. So if you have another one, wing it, because I like this, and then I can ask you some behavioral questions, and because I think we're actually getting to a good discussion of what to do.
Yeah, this is a good one. Again, I have a couple good ones. These are all good. So you're a group leader, and then you run into two members of your group that haven't been attending the recent meetings, the past few meetings they haven't been attending. So you can kind of confront them about it, and they say that a third member in the group has serious BO. It's so bad that it makes them sick to their stomach. So that's why they haven't been able to attend the meetings. What would you do in this scenario?
I guess I would have to first confirm if this BO assumption is true or not. I have, and then I guess I would hope that we could, at the time, because I would have taken each person separately to discuss any of this, remind them, one, that we need to handle everything in a professional manner, and not skipping meetings without letting anybody know prior is not the way to handle um situation, especially if you're not like, if you're not letting us know why, you're just skipping, and then that's the answer. I would say that. And then if the third person, let's say that there is negligence to their own uh healthcare and well-being, like they really do, they say that also you're supposed to make sure that you're very up to date with your own, or good with your own health care, so that your patients can see that. So I would try to remind them that, to set a good example for their patients by doing that, and hopefully that would resolve the issue. I don't know, that one's a tough one.
You picked up on that was better than the other one I asked, because you're picking up on, like, again, no knee jerk answer, and there's multiple areas. He could not have BL. Maybe it was a one-time thing. Maybe he went from the gym and on that one meeting time,
Mhm.
And then you said you'd want to speak to him privately, not maybe you wouldn't call him out, be like, hey, I need to speak to you about your BO, or I have other group members complaining. No, you just want to talk to him and just find out for yourself.
Mhm.
It's good that you said that. And yeah, that was overall, that was a lot better.
Okay. So
You
yeah,
want
so it's actually helping me, this practice.
to, yeah.
I got one, and then I can get to some funny ones, but this one's going to be a good one. If you So let's say that I'm the program director, and then after this, I'm going to go talk to everybody, and we're going to rank you. If you could pick one quality about yourself that you want me to remember when I go to this meeting, what would it be?
Yep, I am stumped. That is a good one. At first, I would want to say hardworking, but I don't want it. One specific quality about me.
I can think of the quality that I would describe you, which is funny because you can't think of it right now, but I can think of the best answer for you?
Uh, I would probably, if I wanted someone to be like, hey, oh, I remember him. I get not just him, like if I want to be remembered for something, I would want to be remembered being like an overall an empathetic person, like someone that you can like I would speak to like a homeless person, or I would speak to the president on the same like level of respect. That's like one quality that I would wish that someone would be able to pick up. Like I would treat everybody the same. There's not necessarily, I don't really care about your background. I don't care about X, Y, and Z. Like unless you're being like, if you're being disrespectful to me, then I probably wouldn't want to interact with you. I wouldn't be disrespectful back, but I would still initially treat you with the same level of respect that I would treat anybody.
Mhm.
So I don't know what quality that would be.
Yeah, because
That was
I will say your answer. So you did empathetic would have been a good answer. But then as you were answering it, you kind of because as you were answering it, you're kind of running through it in your head. So you're like, if you were mean to me, I wouldn't be really be mean
yeah,
back.
no,
But then
no.
um, but I honestly, the answer you really should consider giving is that you're reliable, because that's really a quality that you have, and that people can trust you when they work with you. You're at heart a good person. You're easy to work with,
I don't know
and
about
that you can be relied upon when the time comes.
I would hope, right?
Yeah,
It's like
that's
the
your answer, dude.
yeah.
I'm telling you, that's why I was like so funny. I was like, I know the answer to your question, but
You're
yeah, trust
dedicated.
me.
You're a like for you. You're. I mean, now we're just like talking good about each other, right? We're just
Yeah,
yeah,
let's just bat. What's the worst quality?
yeah, yeah. What's the worst thing about me?
Yeah,
Very opposite of how guys talk
yeah.
normally. But yeah, thank you for that, Jordan.
No, use that in the interview. You can say you
Yeah,
got it from me.
I got one more long one, and then you can do the funny ones.
All right, yeah.
Okay. So you are the ER doctor this evening. Two patients are rushed in that require a kidney transplant. The first patient's a 20-year-old, and he's actually been here a few times before for alcohol intoxication. The second patient is an 80-year-old college professor, and his kidney acute kidney damage is due to his just related to his age. So nothing, he doesn't drink alcohol, he doesn't do anything like that. You have one kidney that matches both donors. What are you gonna do?
You said the other one was 80.
One is 20 years old, the other one's 80. The 80-year-old is having acute kidney failure because of just age related,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the 20-year-old is having acute kidney damage and failure secondary to his alcohol consumption.
Yeah. Well, I guess my initial answer, which is probably not the best one, would be that that's really not my decision. I would have to confirm with the organ donor like that whole process to see, so that I wasn't overstepping my own boundaries and making a decision just purely on my own whimsical nature. I think that, though, and it's a sad thing because I would have to make a decision, and it's tough to say that I would give it to the younger person because they would have technically longer to live, and especially if they could just stop their drinking. But I would have to say that I think, as far as the transplant guidelines too, they're looking at that as well, like how long your likelihood of living is past this moment. And so I would have to consider like all their labs and everything that's going on. I would pass it on to them. But I would think that the younger person, if they could stop their drinking, would have a better chance to live a longer, successful life with the kidney.
Okay, that was pretty good. Follow up to that question is, if you had to know right now, like you had this, like you did, oh, I have to go through the guidelines, I have to do this, I have to do that. You have to make a decision right this second. What are you gonna do?
Can I John Q it and take my own kidney and give it to one and then use the other one? No.
You could use
If I had to make the decision, I would have to first speak to both people. I would have to lay eyes on both people. And while it would be a super tough decision, I would have to trust my gut on the decision. When I did it, I would look at both of them and try to make the decision based off all the parameters. We don't have all of them now. And if I was just going off of like when if we don't have any of that stuff, then I'm gonna have to say that the younger person is gonna have to get it, just because if they change their act, and hopefully this is their God saving moment, like I would have given them another chance to live a full life while the other person has already lived one.
Okay. That was good. Again, you didn't do a knee jerk answer. You did a little worse on that one, I think, than the previous one, but you
Yeah.
did better than the second one I asked.
Yeah.
Again, no knee jerk. So that was good. That was like one thing. People are like, oh, I'm gonna give it to the 8-year-old, I'm gonna give it to the 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't say gut. It should never be like that. You should everything like I forced you into making a decision right now on the second part. From my understanding with this question, that's like that they're trying to trip you up there. Like it should never be a knee jerk reaction, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
You should even start by saying, and you kind of did that. Be like, I would look at the guidelines. I would, this isn't a decision solely based on what my thinking process is. This is like studies that are out, like seeing kidney transplants specifically, and their likelihood of survival or their likelihood of not getting rejected compared to age and compared to like habits and stuff. So you did talk about that a little bit, but you need to focus it more on that and like not really anything with your gut or what you're thinking. Like everything is kind of set kind of in stone. Like the facts are, if they both were super healthy, but they both had like the kidney transplants, neither of them were drinking, the likelihood of an 80-year-old, like their recovery process post surgery is a lot harder on the 80-year-old compared to the 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing to think about is the medication, the immunosuppressants that they have to be taking afterwards. It's going to be a lot more tolerated on the 20-year-old compared to the 80-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
just little things like that. The surgery itself is a big surgery. Like you're removing organs and then you're reinstating different organs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the hospital. This guy's 80 years old. He could be healthy. He could be teaching, but he's still, on the higher spectrum of the age. So then you also have to take into account, like you said, the life expectancy. Like, why am I giving this guy a brand new set of kidneys if, again, this is horrible? Again,
Yeah,
but this is like in the guidelines. Like that's how they. It's like a graph, like time, whatever, and then there's a line. It's like if one person can, if the life expectancy for this country is 85 years old, is it really worth doing a huge surgery, putting them and monitoring them if the life expectancy in that country is only 5 years more, as opposed to, what I'm kind of saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's a good way. Yeah, because that's what I mean. I really liked also what you said when you said what I believe, or you said something like what I believe, or what I am inferring from your question is that and then you started to say the answer, like, are my thoughts on what you're trying to imply by this question. And then so it gives you just a little second to keep running through your head. It's also a very professional way to answer the question, without being like, this is what you do,
Yeah. 100%.
You're saying, according to the question that you're asking, I would, consider these. Okay. If you could choose one tool under $100 that has benefited you most recently, what would it be?
Duct tape.
Duct tape? Why would that be?
That is like the fix all, or like medical tool, or just a normal
Anything.
tool.
Anything.
Under $100, 100% duct tape. Duct tape will literally fix. I'm very handy. My dad is in construction, and it's literally all I did growing up was go to construction sites with him. Well, all his houses are very well built, and he doesn't use duct tape to fix them. But it's something that you can use in place of something until something is a little better. It's like an all-purpose tool. I feel like duct tape is really good.
That was a good answer, dude. That was
Yeah.
a good answer. That was really good. You brought up your dad. You brought a thing. You even cracked a little bit of a joke. That was
Yeah.
good. That was a solid answer. I don't have
Yeah.
any.
Guys
It was concise. You
building a
brought
house
up
of
the fact that you are handy, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Handsy.
yeah. If you have a quick one, I could answer it. Yeah. But if not, our time's gonna go up and then we'll have to do
Oh,
one more and then we can wrap it up. It's
if
gonna
if you gained any superpower, what superpower would it be?
I would probably want a doctor probably wants x-ray vision, but I would probably choose flight because I love exploring new places and I would like to get the opportunity to touch base on all four corners of the world, even though there's not four corners, it's a globe.
Watch you fly really slow. Like you get flight, but you fly like
Yeah, like at turtle speed.
yeah.
Planes just
You
zoom right
have
past
to
you.
like specify for that one, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay. Uh you can give your first knee jerk reaction and then you can give a serious answer. I'm going to ask you some behavioral questions because those are the ones that while they're probably not going to actually ask you that in they're not going to probably ask you the same one. It's the style of how you use your critical thinking to figure out what you are or what matches your behavior that allows you to give your best on interview day. I liked your duct tape answer too, by the way, with the that you're able to bring in your family and everything. That was a good answer.
Yeah.
If you were a type of cheese, what would you be?
The first cheese was Swiss cheese.
Because you're holy.
Is it? Is that the thing? No. Yeah, no.
Is Swiss cheese? Swiss cheese is holy. I don't know why. Why do you feel Swissy?
Swiss cheese. I don't know. That's like what I always order when I go to Subway. It's like my favorite. I like the little holes in
Hmm.
it. And all the cat videos when they slap the cheese on the cat's face and then the little eyes, you can see the eyes on them.
Hmm.
Yeah. What are you supposed to answer on that one?
Uh,
That one makes no sense. There's like
that's a
no
question that
there's
people
no
ask in
benefit
interviews.
to that question.
That's a question that they ask.
Oh,
I know for
provolone because I'm so hardworking. You know, like
I'm just saying, dude, that is what I have definitely heard previous medical graduates in their residency interview. They got what kind of cheese would you be? Because they're gonna ask something that you're not
what kind of
predicting,
cheese are
right?
you gonna be?
I don't know. There's a couple. I would probably say pepper jack. I'm a little spicy, and pepper jack. You can point out that it's very unique cheese. There's a when you look at all the cheeses, you can definitely point out pepper jack, and it's my favorite as well.
All right, I guess I could see the spicy. I don't know, spiciness. That's what you want to tell the program director.
Spicy. I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't. I don't have a very good
Yeah.
answer for that either.
I am.
I don't know what the heck they answered it. What they
Yeah.
answered for that question, but I definitely know that that is one that they got, and I was like, oh, I have no answer to that. Even I don't have a good answer at all.
Yeah.
Another one, Mary Beth
One of
said
the
string cheese. You could do the whole ogre and the onion business. Yeah, I got layers. People take string cheese. I don't know.
All right.
You got another question?
What's the quote of the day?
What is my quote of the day? Hmm.
The good one.
Legends are not made by their successes. They are made by how they rebound on their failures. Chris Bosh. Speaking on Kobe Bryant.
That's a good one.
That was one of the first ones I could think of.
That was solid.
What
I
is your
don't even,
quote of the
I
day?
don't even have an answer for that one. I just wrote it down. I was like, that's a good question. I have no idea how I'd answer it.
Yeah, I am a fool for some quotes, though. But then I was like, shoot, I don't even have my quote book out
I
here.
was,
Like,
I was expecting a dolphin fact.
yeah, I like turtles.
Yeah.
I like turtles. That would have been a good one. Okay.
I like it.
One, what was, what
No,
were you saying?
nothing.
What is your song that gets you pumped up? What song did you listen to before this interview?
I listen to Spanish music mostly. It's called La Bachata. and it has a really good rhythm. And probably wouldn't say that on the interview though.
Can you bachata?
Yeah, I do. That's one of the only Spanish. I get made fun of it all the time because it's the only Spanish type of dancing that I know. I don't
Mhm.
know how to do salsa, and I don't know how to do merengue, even though I've
I have taken a salsa class with you, PJ.
yeah,
I should
and I
know.
yeah. Oh, were you good?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, you were in front of me. You were not good.
Way
Uh,
to rat me out here.
yeah, I'm putting you on blast. But
I know,
yeah,
and I put in my application as salsa connoisseur,
did you?
mainly the dish, not the dance.
Yeah. Did you really? That's a good one.
Yeah, I
You
did.
get a chuckle. You get a chuckle out
Yes,
of that one.
yeah.
You'll be like,
Um,
ha ha ha. Deny.
ha ha ha. Psh. Yeah. So you had said bachata. That would have been a good answer, though. You could have said like that kind of throw.
Mm,
You could have said you learned how to do that dance in Colombia,
I can do that.
where
Yeah.
you hail from. All right,
Food for thought.
food for thought. Just giving, yeah. All right. Do you have another one, or you want me to keep going?
Um. Okay. A funny one. I don't have a funny one. I have another serious one.
I got you one.
All right.
What type of cereal would you be?
Cereal.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of cereal would I be? My favorite is a Cheerio. If I'm being completely honest. It's very. I feel like it's not a good answer, but I literally love Cheerios out of a specifically, it has to be eaten this way. It has to be in a red solo cup.
Mm-hmm.
And so no bowl. And then the Cheerios first and then the milk. I don't ever do milk first. I'm
I thought for sure you were gonna say no milk,
yeah.
like how you give a child to sedate them, and sometimes where they're just eating the Cheerios.
Yeah, no, it
You
has to
seen
be
them?
honey nut Cheerios because it's like a classic and
Mm,
it's
that's good. I
good.
thought you were just going with the old Cheerios. That's good for your heart.
No,
Going with that answer.
they're horrible.
Yeah, I was like, way to pick the blandest of cereals, Chief PJ.
Oh, you do.
Oh,
No, they're cheap, they're
I don't think
good.
I have a good answer to that. Lucky Charms, maybe, because they're
Uh,
always after me, Lucky Charms. Because I wish I was lucky, and I'm quite charming.
these are like I think this is turning into like a dad joke type
Yeah, I
thing.
know. I couldn't think of a good one. I was like, either
Because
that or
there's no real
Cinnamon
good
Toast
ones.
Crunch.
There's no good ones. You just kind of have to answer it and kind of
Exactly. But that's what they ask that. They ask, I've
what
heard,
do you
what
think?
kind of kitchen utensil, what kind of animal, what kitchen utensil would you be?
The thing that you mix like the egg and the dough in. The heck do you even call that? There's like two of them, and it goes.
Oh, a blender,
No, not a, the blender
a
goes from
mixer.
the mixer. Yeah, not a
Yeah.
blender.
Yeah, not a blender. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Um, okay. If you if you could spend one day with the US president, who would it be?
Uh, Probably John F. Kennedy. Be like, be like, hey, like, can I tell him he's about to get shot or?
Hmm. I feel like that would change history.
Yeah, so no. Maybe like, and he like good friends, so he'll tell me anything.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, be like, hey, like, what's been going on for you to have an enemy? Maybe like you probably knew something that they were like, all right, we need to kind of.
Oh, I think my Wi-Fi kind of went out. Shoot.
Okay, as long as it happens here and not. You think that was from me or
Yes.
from you?
No, that was from me. It like switched to the crappiest of the Wi-Fi. And I was
Uh,
concerned because then all of the converting of the media that we just recorded all those great things just stopped. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I should have just waited for it to finish. uh, Maybe it'll pick back up. I'm not sure.
We'll do another
Either way.
recording. We'll do
Yeah.
another.
This
We'll
is
do
more
another.
for us anyway. The
Yeah.
beginning one was good anyway, and that was mainly the podcast part. Um, John, okay. John F. Kennedy seems like a good hang though. I'll pick that. That's
I'd
a good
want
one.
to know. I'd want to know what was going on prior to. I won't tell him what's about to happen, but like, hey, like, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh, he'd be a
Because
good
he probably knew something, and they're like, we need to kind of get rid of him.
solid. So you're saying you're into conspiracy theories?
Mm.
I'm just,
Yes.
okay. Let me see.
You
What
could
would
meet anybody, not a U.S. president. It could be anybody. Who would it be?
if I could meet anybody?
Meet and talk to, yeah. Any point in time in history.
Oh God, any point in time.
It's a good answer. God,
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Jesus,
Jesus would be a good one. I could see that that way I could just figure out what's up.
JC.
I would probably the problem is I don't speak I guess you would have the language barrier of some of these
Two
people.
wishes, then, yeah.
Yeah. One person that I would really love to meet would be Francis Drake. He is he was, I don't know if do you know who Francis Drake is? He was one of the he started off kind of he was a pirate essentially. He was one of the first pirates, but he was back when the Queen was picking the pirates to fight for the Navy. So he kind of started the whole Caribbean pirate shindig thing, and he sailed. He really mapped out the whole South America for the English. He actually captured the Spanish gallery that allowed the Spanish to even know what was on the backside of South America. He also is one of the founders, like the Drake, which is the drink that they named after him because a lot of his crew members got sick on that, which is lime juice, rum, and a little bit of like tonic water or whatever. It was the blueprints for one of my favorite drinks, mojito.
You were like ready. That was like a perfect question for you.
I was not expecting it, but
Yeah,
I
I know
do.
you were.
His
You like
his
answered that
saying,
perfectly.
yeah, he was born. He didn't know his parents. His fate and his saying when he was knighted, because now he's Sir Francis Drake, was greatness through little beginnings. So that always stuck with me. That even if you were born and not in a regal family, even in a time when that mattered the most, he still made something of himself.
That was good. Yeah. Again, that
Francis,
was that was the best answer yet, man.
dude, yeah. Let's hope they ask me about pirates. I got
Yeah.
that
Or
down.
quotes. Dang, the past two questions you did good.
I'm getting into my stride, baby. I'm getting into my stride. I got an interview tomorrow, so it's good. Let's hope they ask. If you could be a medieval torture device, what would you be?
The guillotine. Yeah, that's hardcore. That's like
Strong.
immediate death.
Yeah. Strong.
Yeah.
It's a very strong answer. Okay. If you could pick one Disney character, any movie, what would you be?
Donald Duck is hilarious. It's, yeah, I mean, he's like he gets all angry and stuff, but he like he's the one that you kind of see the family with. He's got like the nephews, I think, ones with the caps, and you could see that he kind of cares. He's got a wife, like he's very angry, but he's also I feel like he'd be a good like a duck dad. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's like a big family guy, I guess.
that's pretty good. Do you have any hidden talents that were not mentioned on your application? Quote or not quotes, but what is the yeah? Do you have any hidden talents that were not mentioned on your application?
Hidden talents.
Impersonations. That's what I was thinking. Impersonations. Kunal had to rap. Do you have any?
Dude, I don't know how to rap. My dang hidden talents. I mean, I'm sure. I'm not bland, so I guess I know some stuff, right?
Yeah.
I know how to I know how to clip the nails of a horse.
I didn't even know horses had nails.
Yeah, they do. I did that with my dad about a week ago on the two horses we got here at the house.
Interesting. I didn't even know horses had nails. So that's actually a great answer because I didn't even. I would be curious to what the heck that was even. I
Yeah.
thought they just had shoes.
No, they at the end of their little hooves or whatever. That's what they like in the movies, they take that metal piece and they ram it into their
Mhm.
feet. They ram it into the nail. So it's like, can you imagine if it just rammed into their legs?
Quite painful.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And all right, I got one for you. If you had a billboard, if you had a billboard and could put anything on it, what would it say?
If I had a billboard and I could put anything on it, hire me.
Boom, baby. Quick with it, sharpshooter.
My ERAS ID and
Yeah. It's just your profile pic. You're like,
yeah.
hire me.
I'm like holding a hammer, not even anything related to
Yeah,
medicine.
yeah. Yeah. You got a hard hat on?
Yeah. They're like, wait, what are
Hard
you
hat and
for
scrubs.
what?
Okay. Well, yeah. I think we're gonna wrap up at least the podcast. We can do any more mock interview stuff after this. But do you have any tips for anybody that are listening right now?
Again, like I'd be hard pressed to say anything tip wise because again, I'm going through the process too, so I don't know anything.
Hmm.
Um, I would say, I mean, you got to reflect. You got to know your strengths. You got to know your weaknesses. That's just I'm talking about myself. Like you got to do the same thing. I feel like everyone has to do that. Um, you know, you've gone this far. It's just don't trip at the finish line. Be prepared. Do you know what needs to be done? So just do it.
Hmm.
It's tedious work at this point. It's not necessarily hard interview season, but there's things that it needs like check boxes that need to be done, and then you just need to do them. I feel like so as long as you stay on top of that. I mean, again, like you can do whatever you want. Maybe don't prepare. Maybe you're really good at. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Again, I have to prepare. I have to be. I have to do these little things. But if you do, you man, you've gotten this far. You can go a little farther.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, yeah, that's a good tip, man. If you've gotten this far, keep doing it and you can keep pushing. Like it's going to seem like when you get to the end of a race, you kind of want to slow down, but this is your time to push through to the end. I
Mm,
will tell anybody that's listening that I've talked to people uh, um, that have already gone through this process and to sign in early, to dress like you are dressing in your application photo. They say to sign in early because no, they do not want somebody that's late. There's almost no excuse for being late in their eyes. I mean, there is going to be something that happens no matter what in all the interviews, but if you can try to prevent that in any way, shape, or form, that's going to be whatever you can do. Um, put your application photo as your Zoom profile picture. Do that. That is going to help whenever you have to go off a video.
I have that right.
Yep.
Okay.
Boom. And, like you said, you're going to have to be yourself, but you want to be yourself in a practice, short, concise manner. And so you're going to have to do, like, I think that the best tip I could give is to practice like how we're doing right now.
Yeah.
If you do that, then you're going to allow yourself to be more comfortable when someone asks you something that's not, because you're going to have addressed it with like your method of how you're going to handle it. Similar to medicine, things are going to come in that you're not expecting, but you have a method and of things that have come before. And so you just have to stick to it and it'll come out looking good. So, yeah, PJ, thank you so much for coming and being on this with me. This has been great.
I didn't really have a choice, but yeah.
Yes. And for everybody that is not going through application process right now. We will come back and be funnier in the next one. I guarantee it.
Yeah, this is a serious one. We're usually pretty fun. I mean, we laugh at each other. I don't know if people might be laughing at us, not with us, but there's laughs usually.
Yeah. Oh no, it's always a good time when I'm with you, dude. So we'll definitely do one when it's a little bit less serious, but we wanted to make sure that, for one, to show people how, you're supposed to handle the situation, and both people should come prepared and kind of handle it like similar to the way we tried to display it, but also just to help benefit ourselves. So it was kind of a 1-2 punch. So thank you everybody for listening. I know I've really enjoyed it. PJ, you actually gave me a lot to think about in the way to answer questions. So I'm going to take that into my interview tomorrow, and we're going to get it.
You're killing it, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for
thank
having
you. Of course, man. Of course. So thank you everybody for listening. And we really enjoyed it. And check us out next time. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at offwhitecoatpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, any of the social medias. And we now have a TikTok. So reach out to us. We can give interview tips. I can get you in touch with PJ. I'm not going to give any of his information. So
yeah. I was like, wait.
so you can't get swarmed. But no, thank you so much, PJ. And thank you everybody for listening.